Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Curator's Corner. I'm Jeff Seymour, Director of History and Education here at the National Civil War Naval Museum. Today we'd like to talk about the centerpiece of the museum, which is the remains of the Ironclad Jackson. Now the Jackson is a basic case-mated ironclad built by the Confederacy. And the great thing about it is it's the centerpiece of the museum because it was built right here in Columbus, Georgia. Now most people have no idea about what was going on industrially during the Civil War and what was going on specifically right here in Columbus. But it was so much that the Confederate Navy had to build an ironclad to prevent Union forces coming up the Chattahoochee River to destroy Columbus. Well, this ironclad, it's a technological advancement for the Civil War, and here we're building one right here in Columbus. Well, let's take a look at this, a couple of things. First of all, look behind me and you will see the remains of the Jackson. What we really have is a portion of the hull. Now the hull is flat-bottomed for travel on the river, because the river, quite frankly, is not that deep in many places. The Jackson is 225 feet long and 57 feet wide, or in naval terms, 57 feet at the beam, and that's the widest point on a ship. It is an ironclad, and you can see right here a slice of the ironcladding, or the upper bulkhead, like a piece of cake cut out. We've got 2 feet of wood, and it's built at a 35-degree slope. This provides strength and structure, and on top of it you've got 2 layers of 2-inch iron plating. This provides that extra bit of protection for your vessel. So as you look at the remains of the ironclad, everything that's above the waterline is represented by this framework, this ghosting. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to you from a spot where we normally don't give people access to, and that is the missing section of the hull of the Jackson. To my right here is the forward section of the Jackson, and we see a lot of the up-close construction techniques. The wood that's used for the Jackson here on the hull is good old longleaf pine, or heart pine. These main timbers here are 12 by 12, and they're laid out one right after the other in order to create this hull. And if you look out back across here, you can see the center line beams that are used to hold up the next deck. What you actually have is a section here, and along these 2 ribs here, you've got another level of planks that are now missing. And that is when the Jackson was destroyed, this all went up in smoke. So looking up above you, you've got this deck, you've got the main gun deck above you. So this is the lower section, the lower deck. This is where the crew's quarters are, this is where the magazine is, and so forth. It's all part of the design of the ship, everything protected from the outside by iron and very thick wood. And if you direct your attention to this side, or this end I should say, this is the stern section of the Jackson. Now the structure that you see here, this represents where the steam engine sat. You've got the boilers that would sit right here along a row, and then behind it are the pistons and the other pieces of machinery that make the machine move. Unfortunately, under its own power, the Jackson probably never would have made more than about 5 knots, which isn't blazingly fast. But this is the steam engine area right here. And looking all the way at the stern of the vessel, you can see where the shafts go through the hull, and on the outside you have the propellers. And this is how the vessel moves, of course. All of this represents a technological and industrial capacity of Columbus, Georgia. And it's something that people are amazed to find that we have right here in our fair city. And here you can see where the shaft comes through the hull. You can see this iron piece here that's punched out and formed to allow the shaft to come through, and then attached to it is the propeller or the screw. We've got two on the Jackson, and remember this, folks, all of this machinery was made right here in Columbus, Georgia. At the stern, that very middle section, in between the propellers, is where the rudder would have been. This also represents a challenge in terms of conservation work. This is the biggest room in the building. It is the hardest to keep at a stable temperature and humidity, and we struggle with that every day. So one of the many things, or some of the many things that we have to worry about and we deal with on a daily basis. So get a chance to come by and see us. This is the remains of the Jackson, the Ironclad, one of the very few remaining ships that you can see from the American Civil War. And once again, thank you for joining us from the National Civil War Naval Museum.